शुक्लां वरदरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये सरस्वति नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ Namaste to all. Today is the 14th day of the course on Sanatana Dharma for youth. Today's session on Dharma Shastras and social structure will be handled by our guest faculty, Dr. Nithin Sridhar. He has earlier addressed our participants on the advanced level course on Sanatana Dharma, which was very well received. Dr. Nithin Sridhar has a degree in civil engineering. After working in the field of construction for some time, he's been writing and speaking on various subjects such as religion, spirituality, culture, etc. He has authored 7 books on various aspects of Hindu culture and practice. His first book, Musings on Hinduism, provided an overview of various aspects of Hindu philosophy and society. His book, Samanya Dharma, enunciates upon general tenets of ethics as available in Hindu texts. His latest book, Ishopanishad, an English commentary, is an English translation and commentary on one of the prominent Hindu texts. However, his most widely read book is Menstruation Across Cultures, a historical perspective, which examines menstruation notions and practices prevalent in different cultures and religions from across the world. His upcoming book is a commentary on the opening verses of Manusmriti. He is currently the director and chief curator of the Center for Moksha Studies on Advaita Academy, and which is dedicated to the dissemination of Advaita Vedanta. Earlier, he served as the editor of India Facts, a portal on Indian history and culture. He is based in Mysore, Karnataka. I hand it over to Dr. Nithin Sridhar. Dhanyavad, Mahodaya. Welcome to our session.
Thank you very much. Very glad to be present here and glad to do this interaction come session on Dharma and Dharma Shastra, a topic which is very close to my heart. Just a clarification before we begin. I am not a doctor as yet, so it's just Nithin Sridhar. With that, let me begin with a prayer before going further. वक्रतुण्ड महाकाय कोटिसूर्यसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम्. So the topic given to me is Dharma Shastra and social structure, and I have been given 3 sessions to speak about it. I hope I am audible to everybody.
Yeah, you are audible.
Yeah. I thought I will dedicate the opening session on the subject of Dharma itself. Before we speak about Dharma Shastra and social structure, we need to understand the term Dharma in the title. The term Dharma, the term Shastra, and then only we can come to the Dharma Shastriya vision of social structure and why it put forward a particular vision of social structure. And so we will dedicate today's session to understanding Dharma and what Dharma is. And we can have some discussion, some questions towards the end of the session. And I will try to keep the session as simple as possible, but I will be using lots of quotations from the Shastras because Dharma, to begin with, I mean, today we find it being used in a very colloquial, very loose sense. I mean, we put the term dharma everywhere. Dharma this, dharma that, dharmic this, dharmic that. But and people have been, in our daily conversation, sometimes we use it in a very flexible manner, and sometimes we impute our own meanings to it. Well, that is okay in a everyday conversation. But if we have to understand what dharma is, then we have to first understand that dharma is a Shastriya concept. That is, it is a concept, it is an idea, it is a tenet, it is a principle that we come to know from the Shastras. So, being a Shastriya concept, we have to understand how the Shastras define it, because only then we can make an informed discussion about the topic and informed understanding, informed discourse related to the topic. So that is what we will try to do in this session. I am just going to share my screen. I have prepared a small presentation, which hopefully you can all see. Are you able to see the presentation?
Yes, Mahodaya.
I'll So in today's session, I will be focusing on the concept of dharma itself, and especially focusing on their essential definition, essential context, which is the context of karma, karma phala. Karma means action, karma phala means fruit of action. So when you do an action, there is bound to be a result of action. So that is the nature of action. Whatever action you do, there is a result. So very common example is, uh, if you are hungry and if you eat food, then that food will satisfy you. Your hunger will go away. So there is a phala, there is a action and there is a result, phala or fruit of action. Similarly, if you study for exam, you will pass the exam. If you don't study, then you will fail the exam. So this is a direct cause and effect relationship, karma, karma phala. So it is in this context that the Shastra speaks about Dharma. So we'll see very quickly what the Shastras speak about Dharma. Since we have only 30 minutes, I will try to keep within the time. Now, dharma is a very comprehensive term, and it does not have a single English word that we can translate into. And depending upon the context, it could mean ethics, morality, law, justice, duty, righteousness, ritual state, yajna, sacrifice. It could mean many, many, many different things. But most importantly, in the context of an individual, because after all, we are more concerned with an individual, and it is the individuals who put together make a society. So, in the context of an individual, dharma refers to one's own duties and one's ethical living. To put it in a very simple language, but we will see what exactly it means. And in the context of a society, dharma refers to social harmony, morality, legal aspects. In context of governance, the law dharma refers to law and justice, jurisprudence, etc. And in the cosmic context, dharma refers to cosmic order and balance. But these are all not unconnected meanings. They are all interrelated meanings. It is from the cosmic rita or the order that the notion of dharma in the individual context, in the social context of harmony, in the individual context of well-being, everything arises. So we will see some of these ideas, especially in the individual context. So one of the very basic definition of dharma, as I said, we will looking into different dimensions of the definition of dharma. And one of the very basic fundamental definition of dharma is got by the very word, very etymological meaning of the word dharma. Dharma comes from the root dhru dharayati, which means to bear, to support. So basically dharma means that which upholds, which sustains, which nurtures, which stabilizes. You see, these are all English words that can be used to refer to the notion of dharana. Dharana means to bearing something, to supporting something, to sustaining something, to nurturing something, to stabilizing something, to so the best example of dharana is bhumi. The earth, we call it her as Bhumi Devi, the mother, because she nurtures all of us. She upholds all of us. She ensures all of our well-being, right? So that is the notion of dharma. Dharma is that which upholds, sustains, nurtures, ensures well-being, and all these things. From this flows the obvious questions. The from the notion of sustaining, the next question arises: what does dharma sustain? So the answer for this is that dharma sustains all beings. So we find in, for example, in Mahabharata and Karna Parva, Bhagavan Sri Krishna says, Dharana dharma ityahu dharmo dharayati praja. That which does the dharana, that which does the sustaining or upholding or nurturing is called dharma. And this dharma upholds all beings. Dharayati praja. Praja means all beings. It is not just human beings, but entirety of the universe, all the beings of the universe, being the Manushya, that is humans, animals, plants, trees, the Rakshasas, the Pishachas, the Gandharvas, Kinnaras, all beings are upheld in the universe, including the natural phenomenon, everything run according to dharma, according to their own dharma. So dharma upholds everything. And this dharma, we will see next, this dharma is a special manifestation of Ishvara himself, because it is Ishvara who upholds everything. In Taittiriya Upanishad, we have the mantra which says, know that which from which the universe manifests, in whom the universe is sustained, and into whom the universe ultimately dissolves into, know that as Brahman. Brahman is Ishvara. So Ishvara is who sustains all of us. So dharma is Ishvara itself, a special manifestation of Ishvara, you can say, right? So dharma upholds all beings. So similarly, there is this Shruti, the Mahanarayana Upanishad, speaks about similar thing. Dharma Vishwasya Jagataha Pratishta. Dharma is the support of the whole cosmos. Everything is established in dharma. Therefore, dharma is considered highest, because everything is sustained, everything is established, as well nurtured by in dharma. It is considered highest. And another point it may say is dharmena papam anudati. That is, through dharma one removes sin, one removes papa, one removes karmic demerit. And we will see the context of it in the further slides. So basically, dharma sustains. The first definition is dharma is that which nurtures, which upholds, which sustains. The second aspect to that, the further building upon that the definition is that dharma sustains all beings, including humans, all objects of the universe. Next, in the individual context, the next question logically which arises from this is, what does sustaining mean in an individual context? How does this dharma, we are still at an abstract level, how does this dharma sustain an individual? What does it mean to sustaining in individual? So we have a very beautiful definition in Vaisheshika Sutra. So Vaisheshika is one of the darshanas. We have 6 Astika darshanas. Uh, so one of them is Vaisheshika. We won't go deep into what Vaisheshika is because we don't have time. So the one of the opening verses gives this definition. Yatho abhyudaya nishreyasa siddhi sa dharma. Very direct, very technically correct translation is, dharma is that from which results, that is siddhi, from which results the accomplishment of, that is accomplishment means siddhi. Dharma is that from which results or which causes the accomplishment of or attainment of abhyudaya and nishreyasa. So the two terms is saying dharma is the means to attain two things, abhyudaya and nishreyasa. This is in individual context. So dharma upholds an individual by helping an individual, by acting as a means through which an individual attains two things, that is abhyudaya and nishreyasa. What is this abhyudaya? Abhyudaya is, in a simple term, we can translate it as happiness or well-being in this world as well as the next world. So the worldly material happiness, but this worldly need not be in only this world, but it could be also Swarga, heaven, or it could be Pitraloka, whatever the other world also, the afterlife also. So happiness or well-being in this world and the next, that is Abhyudaya. Nishreyasa is the ultimate goal of life, that is what we call as moksha, that is supreme good, or the liberation from the cycle of karma, the cycle of birth and death. So in Hindu Dharma, we have the notion of four Purusharthas: Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. So the moksha is the ultimate goal of life, and it is very difficult to attain. We attain moksha by going through many different lives. So the goal of all spiritual practice is ultimately to attain moksha. May not be in this life, maybe many lives later, but you have to work towards that. So dharma is the means to attain that moksha as well. So one is the immediate happiness in this life and then hereafter. The other is the ultimate goal of life called nishreyasa or moksha. So dharma leads to, it upholds an individual, it sustains an individual, it causes good for an individual by acting as a means through which an individual can attain overall well-being, the material well-being and the supreme good, the spiritual well-being in the form of spiritual emancipation or spiritual knowledge or atma jnana or moksha, however you can define it. Now, a corollary, a continuation of that is, we find a very interesting definition in Parashara Smriti. Parashara Smriti is one of the Dharma Shastra texts. On that, there is a very wonderful commentary by Swami Vidyaranya, who was the the founding figure of Vijayanagara Empire, was also the Shankaracharya of the Shringeri Peetham. So another name he goes by is Madhavacharya, and he has written a comment on this Parashara Smriti called Parashara Madhava. So the Parashara Smriti defines dharma beautifully in a single word called hita. So in Sanskrit, hita means beneficial. So we saw that dharma leads to overall well-being. Because it leads to overall well-being, it is called hita. So in Parashara Madhava, Madhavacharya beautifully elaborates on this theme. He says, dharma is called hita, hitam or beneficial, as it is the means to attain our desired fruits. So this is a very important comment, because you can pursue artha and kama, that is, you can pursue your desires, money, wealth, the artha, or family and other pleasures of life in an isolated way. But if you keep doing that, you will eventually end up in sorrow. You will eventually end up in committing crimes, because if you desire to make wealth, either you can put your hard work and make that wealth in an ethical way, or you rob a bank or rob a temple and make that wealth in an unethical way. So the ethical path is the dharmic path. So when you pursue artha and kama within the confines of dharma, or using the means of dharma, or using the means that the Dharma Shastra speaks about, then that is through that you will be able to attain your desired fruit, but in a manner in which there is no negative result. But if you are disregarding dharma and pursuing artha kama in a reckless manner, then you will ultimately end up in suffering, if not in this life but in next life definitely. Because when you violate dharma, there are consequences as well, and we will see that later. But basically, dharma is called hita because it is the means to attain our desired fruits. And what are these desired fruits? Vidyaranya says there are two types of desired fruits. One is aihika, that is this worldly fruits, the fruits that we can attain in this world. The second is amushmika, that is otherworldly fruits, the fruits which we can attain after the death of this body, after we leave this world. And he again says, so obviously this worldly fruits refers to artha kama, the way we can attain our material resources, the material happiness, the sensory happiness in this world through pursuing artha kama within the confines of dharma. The second is the otherworldly. He then divides otherworldly into abhyudaya and nishreyasa. So otherworldly abhyudaya is sukha, happiness, and swarga. So the otherworldly is about how, whether after the death of your body, what will happen to the jiva, what will happen to the individual, whether he will attain swarga, where he will enjoy the fruits of his good actions, that are dharmic actions, or whether he will go to naraka, where he will suffer as a result of his adharmic actions. So this notion, when you practice dharma, you'll definitely enjoy in Swarga, you'll definitely attain Sukha. Not just that, your next Janma will be better. You will be better posited in next Janma, you'll be able to experience Sukha in next Janma also. If you're violating Dharma, if you're going on the unethical path, the adharmic path, then your next life also will be full of suffering. So that is one part, the Abhyudaya part. The other Amushmika is Nishrayasa, we always discuss the supreme knowledge leading to liberation. And he says Dharma is the direct means for Abhyudaya and it is the indirect means for Nishrayasa. That is, by practicing Dharma, because Dharma is a reference to an action, a particular kind of action, which leads you to happiness in this life and happiness and heaven and better life in the next. So it is directly producing that. And dharma indirectly through purification creates purification of the mind also, through which one can attain the tattva jnana or the knowledge of the reality, which in turn leads to moksha. Therefore, it is the indirect means for attaining moksha as well. So again, we don't have time to go deep into it, but in short, to say, more dharma is most beneficial because it is the means to attain all our desired fruits, all the four purusharthas, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, all of them can be attained through dharma itself. So dharma is the connecting principle between artha and kama on one hand and moksha on the other hand. Without the principle, without the connecting means called dharma, either you will be only pursuing the artha kama or you will be focusing only on moksha. Actually, you won't be getting anything. Without dharma, even moksha is not possible because the only dharma, when you practice, it will lead to purification of the mind. That is, it will help you to overcome your weaknesses of the mind, such as anger, attachment, delusion, pride, etc. etc. So dharma is the key means for both pursuit of material pursuit as well as spiritual pursuit. So that is why it is called beneficial. Now, so we are slowly developing towards a comprehensive definition of dharma, comprehensive understanding of dharma. Dharma, building upon the earlier definition, now we see Manusmriti speaking about, Manusmriti is another very, very important text of Dharma Shastra. It speaks about dharma as a means to happiness, heaven, and purification of the mind. He says, Karmanancha vivekartham dharma dharma vivechaya. For the due discrimination or the for making, for understanding the actions, karma means actions. For differentiating one form of action and another form of action, Bhagwan created two buckets of actions. Basically, it's saying one bucket of actions is called as dharma, the other bucket of action is called as adharma. So, what is the element which differentiate these two? It is the kind of results they give. The bucket of action that is designated called as dharma are those actions which results in happiness. Sukha, dukkha, adivi. Sukha, adivi means sukha, etc. What are these etc.? Sukha is happiness, swarga, heaven, chitta shuddhi. These are all what the bucket of dharma, the bucket of actions called dharma will result in, fructify in. The other bucket of action called adharma or those actions whose results, when you perform those actions, the result of such actions will be dukkha, that is sorrow, suffering. Naraka, hell, for the lack of better word. The Hindu notion of Naraka is different from the Abrahamic notion of hell in the sense that there is no concept of permanent hell. You go there because of your karmic demerits, and when you, after you get the fruit, you will again return back. So, dukkha, suffering, naraka, and more samsara bandhana, more and more chitta bhranti, that is more and more delusion of the mind, because of which you will be more attached to the world, more bondage to the world. Dharma leads to purification of mind and the liberation from the world. Adharma leads to bondage of the mind and bondage to the samsara and takes you away from the liberation more and more away. So there are two buckets of actions. One is called dharma, one is called adharma. So in an individual context, therefore, dharma is a reference to action. This is the most important understanding we have to have, that when we speak about dharma in a human context, in individual context, it is At the very essentially, it is speaking about our action. It has to do with our action. And it has to do with our action in a special way. Only when an action is able to give the result of happiness, sukha, heaven, swarga, chitta shuddhi, purification of the mind, only then such an action can be called as dharma. So this dharma is those actions which are moksha oriented, which are paraloka sukha oriented, which are also oriented to sukha or happiness in this world as well. The opposite for dharma, opposite for adharma, that is, which is not dharma, which is violation of dharma is adharma, and those are all unethical actions, criminal actions, which leads to suffering, naraka, etc. Now, at the very beginning, I told you that dharma is a Shastriya concept, that it is a concept known from the Shastra, enunciated from the Shastra. You and I cannot, because dharma cannot be seen. For example, it is not a ball in the hand, it is not a laptop in front of me, it is not an object that can be perceived through our eyes or our ears or nose or tongue or any of our indriyas, any of our sense organs. So it is beyond the perception. It is beyond the inference and other things which is connected to perception also. So the only way we are able to get knowledge about dharma is Shabda Pramana, the Shastras. And these Shastras are nothing but documents given to us by great rishis, great siddhas, who through their yogic achievements, in their yogic avastha, in their great samadhi, they were able to directly perceive them, not perceive dharma through their eyes, ears, etc., but through yogic samadhi. So dharma already exists. See, karma phala already exists. It is not a human creation. It is a divine creation. It already exists in the universe. The knowledge about it, Ishvara himself reveals through Vedas, through Smritis, etc. So the rishis perceived them in the samadhi, and then for our benefit, for the benefit of common man, they documented them in different texts. That is how we know it. So the most important pramana for this is Veda, Chodana Lakshano Artho Dharma, says the Mimamsa Sutra, that dharma is that which is indicated by the injunctive verses of Veda. So the Veda is the ultimate pramana, ultimate source of knowledge. Pramana means valid source of knowledge. That is an authentic source of valid knowledge, you can say. So Veda is the ultimate pramana because Veda is apaurisha. It is not a human creation. The rishis were mantra drashtas. They saw the mantras in their deep meditation in samadhi. They did not create the mantras in the sense how we write our normal day poetry, how we write our books. They did not write it by their imagination. It was through divine perception. So the Vedas exist eternally. Vedas are nitya. At the beginning of every cycle of creation, the Veda manifests on its own. At the end of the every creation, the Veda withdraws. It does not go away, it withdraws and then it remanifests in the next cycle of creation. So Veda means knowledge, Vidya. And what is this Vidya? It is Ishvara himself. So Veda is called as the breath of Ishvara in one of the texts, if I am not mistaken. So Dharma is, Veda is the ultimate source of knowledge. What are the other sources? In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, on the matters of what actions to be performed and what should be avoided, the injunctions from the Shastras alone are our pramana, one should act accordingly. So the Shastra, what are these Shastras? The commentators such as Shankaracharya, Madhusudana Saraswati, Ramanujacharya, etc., they all list these Shastras. The first comes the Veda, the next comes the Smritis, next comes the Itihasa Puranas. So we find similar verses in says Manusmriti also says Shudhistu Vedo Vigneya Dharmashastram tu vai Smriti Tabhyam Dharme hi Nibarbhav. The two most important sources of Dharma are Veda, which is the Shruti, and the Dharmashastra, which is the Smriti. And these two should not be criticized because from these the Dharma is revealed. So Dharmashastras basically include Smritis, but also includes Itihasa Puranas as well, because Itihasa Puranas are also were written for the purpose of Dharma Bodhana, for teaching Dharma. So the Yajnavalkya Smriti lists Purana, Nyaya, Mimamsa as well. So in short, the one definition of Dharma was that it is a reference to the bucket of karmas, bucket of actions, which those actions which are capable of giving us happiness, giving us swarga, giving us chitta shuddhi, the purification of the mind, and hence are beneficial to humans, are beneficial to individuals, are leads to overall well-being of individual. That is one definition. The second question is, how do we know, from what source do we know Dharma? The answer is Veda, Smriti, Itihasa, Purana. These are the main sources of Dharma, primary sources of Dharma. So these are called Shastra of the Dharma. Dharma Shastra. Dharma Shastra. Dharma Shastra means the Shastra, the term Shastra means a treatise which systematically presents a subject matter. So Dharma Shastra refers to all those treatises which systematically presents the subject matter of Dharma. So the primary of them is Shruti, that is Veda, the Smritis, the Manu, Yajnavalkya, Parashara, and all those Smritis, and Itihasa, that is Ramayana, Mahabharata, Purana, the 18 Puranas, Mahapuranas, Upapuranas are there. These are the primary, and based on them we have a commentary tradition, we have independent Dharma Shastra, Nibandhas, and all these things are there. So now, I think we are already 7:30. So we'll just conclude here today that when we think about Dharma in a very foundational sense, then in its very essence, in its very swarupa, in its essential nature, Dharma is a reference to karma. We just saw that. Karma or actions, which one upholds, those actions which uphold and sustains all beings. They are most beneficial and leads to overall well-being of individuals. They are the means to attain happiness, heaven, and purification of the mind, eventually leading to spiritual liberation. Fourth, they are revealed by Vedas, the Smritis, and other Shastras in the form of injunctions and prohibitions. So injunctions is Vidhi and prohibitions is uh, Nisheda. And they facilitate the attainment of Sukha, Swarga, etc. by the generation of Apurva called Punya. So now we did not discuss this notion of Punya, etc. in this session, but I'll just give one brief definition here. So the question is, when we perform an action, the result of the action is not immediate. That is, for example, you write an exam today, but the results of the exam will be announced after a few days. Similarly, you perform an yagya or a puja at home today. The result will be at a very later stage. It will not be immediate. So the question is, how then can we say that the action can lead to some fruits, right? Because we are performing this action. Once the action is over, it is finished. The action no longer exists. But we are saying that the result will come in the future. It may be in next life also. For example, Swarga happens after the death of the body. How does this happen? Because action and fruit, they have to be connected in some way. So the Mimamsakas answer this by saying that when you perform an action, it gives rise to a potency called Apurva. And this potency is basically karmic merit or demerit. So there are this potency are two types. If you have performed a dharmic action, it gives rise to potency called punya, which is a karmic merit. And if you have performed adharmic actions, that is in violation of dharma, then it gives rise to a potency called papa, which is karmic demerit. So this potency exists, and this potency this potency exists in an individual. It is present in the subtle body of the individual, and it will be there as a seed form. Potency means it is in a seed form, and when the right time comes, this seed potency manifests as fruits. It manifests as the result of the action. So that is the notion of this apurva. Anyways, so we will conclude here. Any definition, any meaning, any interpretation of the term dharma, be it as ethics, morality, law, governance, or order, they must be anchored in this foundational understanding of dharma and shastras. And without this and shastra, that is the Veda and the Smriti, etc., it is from there the understanding of dharma comes, the knowledge about dharma comes. So without anchoring to this foundation understanding of dharma as a reference to actions, dharma as revealed by the Shruti Smriti, etc., without anchoring to this understanding, our discussion of dharma will be completely useless. It will be not accurate. It will be very inaccurate, misleading, and confusing. So, with this very basic definition of dharma, we'll conclude today's session, and I'll be open for questions now. And tomorrow we will see uh, some aspects of what dharma is, some principles of dharma, a very brief understanding of dharmic social structure or social order, a dharmic vision of social order, I would say, rather, and what is the purpose, what is the meaning behind it in the tomorrow's session. I hope enjoyed it. So, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. You can please ask questions if you have any.
ఓకే ధన్యవాదములండి నితిన్ గారు. It is very good knowledge we have received today on dharma. Any questions from anybody? Okay, anybody wants to say anything?
Sridharji, can I have your phone number, please?
Yeah, I think Babuji has my number.
Can you give me here? I'm from Bangalore.
Okay, yeah. I'll give you. I think you can share my number, right?
Sure.
Yeah, please share with him.
You may give it in the chat box here itself if you.
That. I think you could share it personally with him on WhatsApp.
I will do that. Yeah, I will do that. Anybody else?
I'll share my email ID here, so
Yeah,
that I would prefer, it's easier to connect through email.
Yeah, if you have any reservations, then it's okay.
No, it's okay. I would prefer an email, that's all. Otherwise, it's okay. No issue with connecting on WhatsApp, etc. as well.
Patel ji is one of the very important member of our VSS, and he has been taking classes for this course also on various aspects.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. We'll be very happy to connect Dr. Patel.
Yeah. Anybody else? Students, come on, this is mainly meant for you people, and you should know what is dharma. Manish, Nandini, Deepika, Sindhuja, Aditi, Tejasvi, no. Anyway, you keep your questions, and tomorrow, day after, again, Nithin ji will be with us. So you may ask those questions tomorrow or day after. Thank you so much. Saugandhi ji.
ॐ सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ स्वस्ति.
Okay. Now, any volunteer for singing a national anthem? Especially students. Okay. Patel ji, no, he's volunteering for it. Thank you so much. Okay. Let us have Patel ji singing national anthem. All of you, please stand up.
जनगणमन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता पंजाब सिंधु गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल भंगा विंध्य हिमाचल यमुना गंगा उच्चल जलधि तरंगा तव शुभ नामे जागे तव शुभ आशीष माहे गाहे तव जय गाथा जनगण मंगलदायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता जय हे जय हे जय हे जय 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 हे जय हिंद.
Thank you so much.
Sir,
Thank you so much.
sir, it's our duty, it's my pleasure. You are giving me opportunity